Morning, Tuvalu! And I never adjusted the gain from Doctor Who. Hang on, there we go. And welcome back to Star Trek Season 2, Episode 14, Wolf in the Fold. Or as the real fans know it, Episode 7, where I have to now get the episode set up in the background because I'm running it behind. We've talked a lot about it. In my opinion, and this is quite an accomplishment, this is probably one of the most unhinged, not unhinged, one of the most crazy out there episodes that the franchise has to offer. If you've never seen it before, I mean, I'm probably gonna talk about some stuff ahead of time as I try and figure out what the right, there we go, that's the right monitor. Yeah. I'm gonna assume you've seen this episode, which is important because this, of course, our sci-fi saga episodic episode is a murder mystery that, like halfway through, as I recall, takes a hard left into just horror. As I recall, quite good horror. Also, Jack the Ripper did it. Spoilers. That's right, Jack the Ripper. He's also an alien. Don't worry about it. But he also doesn't have a body. And also, Scotty hates women, just like is some sort of medical condition. Then somehow I remember it being good. Maybe it just sticks out for being so out there. I gotta respect an episode that just breaks formula. And this episode breaks formula, you know? It might even be just the weirdest kind of setup. It might be top 3. There's that animated series episode where they meet the devil. That's quite out there. There's this, and then Doctor Who has a folk horror that becomes a legal comedy in like episode 3. It's quite weird. It's called, what's it called? Stones of Blood, I think. It's the 100th story. But we're not talking about Doctor Who. We're talking about Wolf in the Fold. If you don't know what we're doing, first off, I respect you for deciding to watch Wolf in the Fold randomly, presumably as your first episode. But we are basically going to be recording an audio commentary track live. So for legal reasons, of course, I can't just stream an episode of Star Trek. So it's bring your own video, bring your own audio. There'll be a blurred version playing in the background to help sync. And of course, you can see the time bar on screen. Link in the description to Paramount Plus. I will be watching the remastered version. If you want to watch the original, it doesn't matter. You'll stay synced up. It probably won't matter for much for this episode. I recall it being more like practical effects. Well done, actually. I don't know. I could be mega disappointed. But no, this episode, you know, say what you want about it. It stands out, just for being what it is. Yeah, in a little bit, we're going to do a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and on go, everyone's going to hit play, and we'll be synced up. Because I need more water. Before we start, though, a few announcements, channel-wise. There's probably no Doctor Who tomorrow. I'm just busy. I gotta do some stuff around the time we'd usually stream, we're just not going to do it. They have just announced today, seemingly accidentally, the release date for Doctor Who Season 2/15/41, I think. The new season with the 15th Doctor will come out on April 12th. That is a Saturday. So Caden and I will cover that, not as watch-alongs, but as review, like we have been doing for 15 so far. And we will probably be doing it Sunday, so like the day after it airs, which is a bit close, but it's better than a week. But yeah, I'll repeat all that on Friday. We'll talk more about it. Not on Friday, and on a Sunday Doctor Who whenever we do it. But it will let us finish this season out, which is nice. We'll be like 1 or 2 episodes into Donna's season by the time that starts. And I might fiddle with the schedule so they sync up. But yeah, I think that's it, really. I did a lot of preamble, so I'm just going to get in. We'll have the famous scene that I will never let Star Trek live down, where we just casually... The thing about this episode is that all this weird stuff it does is so casual. Oh yeah, Jack the Ripper, naturally. Oh yeah, Scotty just like pathologically hates women, like as you do. Everything's just so casual. It's like it doesn't know how weird it is, but let's strap in for this ride. As I said before, a little countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and on go, everyone hits play. Don't skip into the intro either if you're one of the people who does that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And we're good. We're golden. Do I need to adjust my volume, actually? I really didn't set this up at all. Actually, I've never thought about it, but I kind of want to look. There are a few episodes like this that have a scene of, essentially a belly dancer. Like some sort of erotic dancing. There's the Orion from the Cage or Menagerie. I swear the other episode with an Orion does something. I wonder if it's the same dance. That's the point I'm making. If they just have, like, one sexy dance. It'd be hilarious if it's the same actress. Like, Paramount just has one sexy dancer that they get out for whatever needs it. I'm gonna go with I like how the band is also just, like, a totally normal... Middle Eastern, maybe North African? I don't actually know, but like a snake dancer-esque vibe. No alien at all. Completely hedonistic. Meanwhile, I like this flute player in the background. In fact, all the musicians look a little bored. This is like take number 20 they used. Good. What? Okay, I'm probably not gonna spend a whole episode on this, but what is Kirk's thing? I don't know. I guess this is a hedonistic society. Like, I guess if this is basically some form of prostitution, I suppose. It just is a bit weird when he knows that Scotty like hates women. At least I think he knows that. I remember no one being surprised. But, like, come on, Scotty, you don't have to be that creepy about it. Like, she's good, but Scotty, I don't think anyone is that good of a dancer. Like, look at here. I'd like that drum guy in the background. I'm like, yeah, this is cool and all, but there we go. I'm ready for the murder mystery. No, Scotty, we really do. This is an insult in their culture. I mean, what was this episode? Was there an intent for how we should feel about Scotty? Because I think it's just plot-wise. They need Scotty to be, the suspect, right? But all they've done is characterize someone who, like, doesn't care about the local customs and, just hates women is, like, a medical condition. And, like, yes, it's the 60s, but I think even in the 60s, just straight up hating women wasn't, like, a normal thing, you know? Like, sure, there were gender roles in society, but I don't think there were gender roles because the patriarchy just, like, explicitly hated women. Yeah, so that's it. A woman made a mistake, and now he hates all women. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was pre-existing. Look, I don't think this is obviously, I don't think this is the way to deal with it. So, a woman made a mistake, and he almost died. So he now pathologically hates all women. Even if we accept that, I don't think the solution is to hire a prostitute. Like, maybe it fixes the immediate concern, but I think there's still a major concern that your chief engineer hates women. I guess maybe there's an assumption that women aren't working in engineering, which is its whole own thing, but, I don't know, if a woman caused an explosion, that kind of implies she's working in or around engineering. You know, it's such a simple thing, and it is for the atmosphere. I actually would love more planets with dense fog like this. Like, I think Ferenginar could have dealt with it, but just a planet that's super foggy. Why not? Or even just it's a foggy day. You never really get that, do you? And this right here was probably 20 minutes and like 5 smoke rooms, smoke machines. Also, I talked over it, but we got a She's Dead gym. I think that's the closest we've gotten to the famous He's Dead gym line so far. I never remember. I think you might get it once in like the first episode, and then it's not till season 3 that Bones actually says the words "He's dead, Jim." But you know, he's constantly saying variations, which is the point. There you go. Is it Mars or Vulcan? I never know. It's not the little red planet in the intro, but in my head, it's always Mars or Vulcan. And we learned yesterday, or last week, it is not Vulcan. So I guess that means it's Mars. But, like, I know what Mars looks like well enough. I should be able to tell if it's not Mars. Oh, when the Enterprise went back, I might go back and look at that later. There's, like, some artifacting. Yeah. It's actually really blurry around the ship itself. I don't know if that's like the original footage they cut around or if that's an intentional special effect that the ship's, maybe it's like warp distortion or something. But yeah, in the intro, there's some distortion in the remastered. That's a good planet. Green, dark, kind of foggy, and it actually looks natural. That's a good planet. God, I've just remembered this guy. I forgot about the kind of boring bureaucratic guy who, spoilers, turns out to secretly be Jack the Ripper or something like that. Well, yeah, why not? I guess I was going to say it's just background, this hedonistic society. I guess the point is to say that literally nobody else on this planet could be the murderer. But I think there's room to potentially explore a hedonistic society. Especially, I mean, both critically and in a positive light. I mean, maybe not the extreme of total hedonism, but explore some ideas of like, well, what if we just didn't have to work? I mean, already that's what the Federation is like. No one has to work. Everyone kind of does stuff for the betterment of themselves or their society. I mean, clearly this planet works. Like, this is the first murder in ages, judging by how this guy's reacting. Although, arguably, what if you find murder fun? Would murder be more common in a hedonistic society? That's a question. Is he? When did this happen? Was that the accident? I don't know. If he's suffering from a concussion, maybe you don't hire him a prostitute. Yeah, they're all behind you. Probably death, I don't know. Oh, never mind, he gets loved to death. Yeah, actually, I think Scotty would like that. That's how he wants to go out. Look, is every woman who dies also going to be wearing red? Because she's named, but I do like the concept of the red shirt extending to the victims of the murder episode. See? So, like, they haven't even had crime in 200 years. It's almost laughable that, like, um, nobody on this planet could be the murderer except Scotty. I do like the costume working in for like everyone else you've gotten so far for this society. This I don't know, president guy, whatever he is. Like it's not the greatest we have, but it does have an element of regal, but not any particular Earth culture. It's coming off as alien enough, which is always fun. I really like that where I think alien designs, especially when it's just a humanoid, like very basic human looking, should look like they could come from a human society that doesn't exist. Um, because especially with all the lore in Star Trek of like the precursors and stuff like that, um, and just general real world stuff. Um, I think I like the acknowledgement that the kind of forces, evolutionary forces, that force human societies to kind of be how they are and humanity to behave socially how they do would also affect other cultures. And so I don't think if we found aliens, we'd really get a lot that's that out there. I think we genuinely would get things that are about as different as like the United States and India. Like, yeah, they're pretty different, but you know, the people are basically the same. I mean, swap out like your major religion and your architecture and a few customs, and that's kind of all it takes to get from one to another, unless the planetary environment is like so different. But and so I feel like those more simpler, you know, you don't want something like horrifically impractical unless the society is like decadent and pompous, maybe. And this is a decadent society, but certainly is not pompous. It's a good set, though. Obviously inspired by, like, Southern Asia, maybe some Middle East, but, and I'm not as huge a fan of that when it's like, yeah, that's just the very distinct door shape you have in, like, places like India and around that part of the world, but still. Oh, a doctor. I'm like, what? Do you have a lawyer on the board? I mean, you should, I guess, but. Kirk, you know I hate women now. I mean, I guess if we want to argue for the future of Strange New Worlds, he might not have hated women yet, but I'm still never going to let you forget that you casually introduced this. If this was a real concern, again, maybe you shouldn't have gone to a club and hired a prostitute. I'm also not entirely sure if that's accepted now to this extent, but I'll let it slide. This is an episode where Jack the Ripper's the murderer, like 300 years from now. Just casually. Again, who wrote this one? I'm actually curious because this is so. It kind of reads like a writer who does not want to, or doesn't really care for sci-fi, but it works. Don't get me wrong. Even then, I think this episode's real well paced so far. Like I mean, it spent a bit of time on eye candy at the start, a little too long. But other than that, like, minute or two, which also establish some things, I think it's very well paced. Not Doctor Star Trek Wolf in Le Fold. Wolf in the Fold, written by Memory Alpha. Where are you? Robert Bloch. Did he write anything else? What are little girls made of? And cat's paw. No, what? God, I don't know. I like it, though. I almost think it'd be better if, I mean, yes, it'd be better if you wiped out that one of the main characters just pathologically hates women. But beyond that, if the fact that it was only killing women was realized later or wasn't made apparent, because then it could have made the revelation that's Jack the Ripper possibly feel a little more like something you're building to naturally. As naturally as you can build to the fact that alien Jack the Ripper did these. And here we go. I've got the Eastern Pirate musicians. Oh, forgive me. Actually, the one in the red vest is clearly a barber. Look at that guy. That's Barbershop Quartet from the Renaissance. I love him. All right, I believe you. Jack the Ripper had like a very specific thing he did, right? I mean, I think it might be a little bit more, a little too explicit, like violent for Star Trek. Yeah, well, I guess you didn't do it. But, I don't know. That could have also helped feel more natural. I guess Scotty's been interrupted, though, so who knows. Actually, I do remember him, because he's a very handsome man in, like, barbershop Renaissance gear. Maybe you should have reported that. Like, I know he didn't do it, but... Wait, they... That was it? I don't know. That... He acts like, you know, he defiled his daughter, yarda, 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 you know? I don't know, he slept with another woman, but he just, like, doesn't really love his daughter doing... Or his fiancé. Like, he seems to be fine with the fiancé's work. It's just actively watching her be hired as a prostitute is like, you know what? I'm not as a fan of that. I don't know. Well, he still has not been proven guilty. That's not how legal systems work. You're the lawyer here. Like, you're not proven guilty till the judge slaps his hammer on the gavel. I have legit just realized those. Yeah, what are those controls on this weird, like, ritualistic... You know what? Actually, let's roll with it. You get that a lot, don't you? In just an old centuries-old place that someone's installed modern electrics in, you know? Not like a national monument, but this is just some dude's house. They managed to pull off a lot with this budget, though. It's mostly blank walls, but they're doing a good job hiding that. Well, we could bring Spock down here, do a mind meld. I mean, you could bring it up, though, you know? At least suggest it. Give it a try. Be like, hey, look, we respect this, but the Federation might, you know, have trouble accepting this unless you at least let us run our test, even if it means nothing, you know, even if you ignore it. We would feel better, and we've done a lot for you already, so could you grant us this one thing? You can come on the Enterprise too if you want, so you know we don't run off. We'll turn off the engines. Jack the Ripper. Naturally. There is an element of kind of like basing, you know, having your villain be a real serial killer who like genuinely did awful things to real people. It was like, you know, 400 years old or whatever. I don't know, you know, hundreds of years ago. But to me, a lot of that just kind of gets buried in how ridiculous the episode is. But as much as I say, like, it's a good... I mean, you're not going to figure out the murderer because it's Jack the Ripper. But it's a good setup, you know? Like, it may be a bit tropey, you could argue, but it absolutely works just for, like, an hour of television. It's shockingly one of the better episodes. And I respect it for that. Honestly, I'm amazed that Bones is a doctor. Like, do you think he loses patience? Because he gets this attitude so many times, right? It's like, no, it can't be lymphatic cancer. I just don't think it is. You know? That's true. Actually, I can't recall if it's ever given why Scotty does this. Like, why he's losing his memory, sorry. Also, hey, look, they brought it up, and they rolled with it. Look at that. It's almost like it could have worked. Heck, it might have saved someone's life. I mean, I guess they can't use the thing, like the spiritual practice, because the woman's dead now. Let's just ignore this in the future, though, because quite frankly, it makes mysteries hard. Like, I've never really known how to feel about these lie detectors, because on the one hand, it's the future, and you can just kind of write, it's literally a perfect lie detector. I don't know, maybe you could come in as, like, the president or whatever, be like, look, we're not barbarians. But, gosh, oh yeah, but I just, like, instinctually, I don't think you should ever just have a computer be the sole deciding factor in these. I mean, let's be honest, the evidence against Scotty is overwhelming. It's not the only thing, but I don't like the atmosphere of, well, the computer says so, so we just accept it. I mean, even in Star Trek, like the original series, there are so many episodes that directly go against that idea and tell you why it's bad. And now that we have these like generative AI things, it's true. Like already, it's like you shouldn't just be like, well, the computer said so, so let's roll with it. And yes, that box is a lot better than ChatGPT, but you get the idea. I mean, maybe looking at it, it's not as advanced as ChatGPT. Absolutely hates women. Peripheral abnormalities. Functional? What other types of amnesia? Good enough. What about the third? Okay, I like the implication there that if he was lying, the computer would not have said unless Kirk asked. You didn't bring this up earlier, Scotty? It's a real subtle thing too, but in the background, I really like Leonard Nimoy very intently kind of scrutinizing everything. It feels like what Spock would do, just absorb everything and analyze logic through it. I like how the guy is freaking out, the guy who did it. But like, I don't know how this would lead to him. Like, on one hand, the idea of just relying on the computer is terrifying, but on the other, no human jury would just be like, yeah, all right, the ghost did it. You know what, really, why doesn't the Federation just share this technology? It solves crime. Well, not crime, but justice. Well, court systems. You don't have to worry about false convictions if we just accept it's infallible. Why are you jumping in? You're suspect number 2. I've wondered this a lot. I could have looked it up. Was the lie detector invented kind of like around now? Because I think that's the only way you could really extend that technology to this extent and be like, yeah, it's fine. Lie detector invented. I mean, it sure sounds like there's philosophical changes. 1906, so probably a bit after that to be popularized. 1923, it was used in court. Yeah, it's not that old. About as old as, like, Bon Jovi. Honestly, even the court legal proceeding is well constructed and done. If you just buy into, the perfect lie detector. I do like it. It makes mysteries harder, but you do get the unique setup that you can have a court case where objectively for a fact everyone is telling the truth. And I think you could really go more into the what is happening when you don't have to worry about anyone lying. Or any possible deceptions. Like, it's a very different... I understand that could ruin the mystery genre for a lot of people. It's a different thing, but I think there's absolutely room for it in storytelling. I mean, I've never done violence in my life is a pretty good... At the other side, though, I honestly don't understand why you can't just say, did you kill her? No. Do you know who did? No. All right, next person. Like, some statements suggestive. Just rephrase them then. Actually, I don't know. Were any of his statements subjective? I was angry is technically subjective, but that wasn't really... Were you angry enough to do violence was not subjective. I guess it's not empirical? Like, it's speculation. Speculative. There we go. That's the word. Man, out of context, that line does not sound well. Sensitivity of women is a documented fact. It's like, oh, hang on. Gotta restart my printer camera. Yeah, we should have looked those up, really. Well, I think that's the capital of Iceland. Uh-oh. You're right, Spock. We have Google. Capital of Iceland. Yep, I know that one. I know it's Reykjavik. Could you imagine if you had to tell Google... I was about to say where to look. You actually kind of can. You can say images and whatnot, but that'd be useful. But I would just start with do everything. Wait, was this an alien language for Jack the Ripper? Also, funny that was the first name they chose. It must be him. Spock is literally in the room. It's just hilarious to me how much this, they accept it. It's like, it must be an immortal Jack the Ripper. It really doesn't. They're just like, but it's true. We Googled it, it was Jack the Ripper. Yeah, you should have brought that up first. It's like, no, you don't have to die. Hey, there's a species that lives on Earth that literally could have done this, you know? The Lanthanites? I mean, you don't know that, but... I don't know about that. What about a plant, Spock? What if I photosynthesize? Or I'm a bacteria at the bottom of the ocean that uses geothermal heat? He's right. I mean, the computer said he didn't do it, but, you know. Well, Spock, the only logical explanation is that Jack the Ripper did it. I mean, yes. That's a positive... That's a closed loop, I think. Bald bureaucrat, little boring. It's just kind of so, oh yes, this is the only possibility. I'm sorry, I just love this actor on the left, just totally dumbfounded. It's like, how the hell are they gonna get to me, you know? I mean, actually, yeah, he's like, how the hell could that happen? Literally anything does that, right? I mean, I wouldn't survive it, but okay, I don't really like that. That it's like, well, Jack the Ripper could only have done it because he's literally an alien who can like disappear, you know? Because again, like Jack the Ripper was a real person who did like awful things to real people. Um, and to me, that line there just lent a little bit too much into conspiracy, especially around an individual who is often just kind of surrounded by conspiracy and can get pretty far separated from how horrible he actually was, you know? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that line. Look, I watched this, quote unquote, watched under a blanket. And by that, you know how like a child might dress as a ghost for Halloween, which is like a white sheet and eye holes? It's that, but without eye holes. And you bet I was terrified by this one. This is one of the few that I think is actually scary. Like even still. Uh, our neighbor, though, she was about my age. She might have been a little younger. I don't remember. She was the only one who would watch horror with my dad. You know, just, I don't think I need to explain to you that that line was sexist, actually. Also, I've scanned everyone in this room. Spock just knows that. Could you imagine taking like your friend to a bar to help get over his concussion and then discovering not only the identity of Jack the Ripper, but like 7 Jack the Rippers on other planets? Like this is one hell of a report. That's racist. He doesn't come from any of those other planets. I mean, honestly, that's fine. Go get a warrant. I don't know. Honestly, again, I quite like these theories. I've said before, I like telling my wife how to peacefully integrate vampires into our society. I feel like he should just go to somewhere that likes horror movies. Honestly, open a horror theater, you know? Why not just like be the guy who stands in the projector room at a horror film festival and you just legal, you could roll it in too, you could make money, you could be mutually beneficial. Like no, he's doing this for the thrill. He's not doing it for the sustenance. Honestly, that's on him. Rigel, I bet. By the way, that's another planet in the Rigel system. Last week we had Rigel, but this is another one. Oh, nice kick. Is that the same actor? Was he just capable? That might be the same guy. That wasn't even a double. I don't know. Hey, we got the line. Here we go. Now is why I remember it just getting real scary. You can imagine little me. I found this whole show terrifying, right? Not just this episode. I did not do horror as a kid. I mean, I still don't do some kind of horror, but I don't know. I found my way into little bits of it. Yeah, so what was this? This started off a murder mystery that then kind of naturally went into a courtroom drama that's now full-on horror because Jack the Ripper, I have to point out, has possessed the Enterprise. Quite naturally, too. Ooh, that's nice, actually. That's real simple, but I like that. Look, Kirk, it's a monitor on the table. I think you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit. I swear yesterday we established there were like 300 crew. Maybe that there's 100 civilians, but I thought, I don't know. If I watch these closer together, I might remember it. Why? I don't know about that. Why? Oh, she's happy about it, though. She's not gonna be succumbing to fear. They say that. This comes up. I'm not sure if that's true. But no, I guess there is. Like, what's the last prime number? No, I don't know. I'm just talking about my butt. But I think largely the problem is it's just gonna take forever to brute force it, which doesn't seem to be a problem nowadays. Maybe I would actually just put on a horror movie. Be like, look, we'll feed you forever. Like, put him in a nature preserve if they don't want to do it. There's a world where you just, you know. I do love the voice, though. I think it's very effective. Also, if that's the crew's reaction, I don't think they really have much of a problem. It is funny, you know, it's the classic Gene Roddenberry. We've just evolved beyond being scared, you know? Which, I like a lot of Gene Roddenberry's visions for this utopian Star Trek future. But sometimes I do think he takes things a bit far, to even an extent of, I don't think we have to evolve past being afraid of anything to be a utopia. I'm not even sure if that makes sense, you know? Where's Uhura? This is the second time she's been gone. Wasn't there a time where she debated not doing the show? It might have just been before season 1. And then Martin Luther King Jr. was like, no, do it. We need this. She's probably just on vacation, honestly. When do we get her back, though? She's in Mirror Mirror. That's soon. So she's got to be back pretty soon. Oh, we leaned back into the original actor's voice was in there. It's clearly not working. Okay. This might actually be more dangerous. I'd like to remind you that this episode was incited because a woman made a mistake and, like, blew up a panel that almost killed him. This is the guy who's stopping the ship from falling from orbit, you know? He's now drugged. I think this is more dangerous. Yeah, I don't know what I was on about, that some problems are impossible. Like, they just aren't. Transcendental? I've never heard that. It's an irrational number. Is that an old term, or is that like a more technical term? Transcendental number. Yeah, you can't have the whole bridge just drugged up. Transcendental number. In mathematics, a transcendental number is a real number, a complex number that is not an algebraic number. It's not a root of non-zero polynomial equation. The best known is pi. There you go. I should have just read that part. I legit don't remember, actually. You're really confident about that, Bones. Wait, Bones does not have a sedative for Spock? Does he just operate like on a fully conscious feeling Spock? God, the medical ethics of this crew is horrific. Also, yes, we can eject him, but not Spock. Also, let's acknowledge he can possess a corpse just fine, but a sedated corpse? Or not even a corpse, a sedated person. Oh my gosh, that knife got close. Actually, this is worse. That's scarier. Yeah, no, that's actually scarier. They're not even sedated. They're just watching this. It's like, yep, there's another. What? Whoa, Kirk. Is this the death penalty? I just want to point. It might be justified, but I'm more concerned that this thing can live in space, right? Are you telling me Jack the Ripper got off Earth and onto another planet just, like, through a spaceship? I don't know. I think it's just someone else's problem. I guess that might work. Yeah, there we go. What, so you've tortured it? You haven't actually murdered it. You've condemned it to a literal eternity of torture. Also, I actually did kill the third one. No. Any other episode, 5 to 6 hours without control over the Enterprise had crashed into the planet 4 hours ago. Don't worry, Spock can run the ship. I'd like to remind you, for the second time this season, which is so far 7 episodes long, there's a big episode about how you need like 100 people to run a starship. I think I talked over some sexism, which, you know, honestly, that's what you should do. You know, people joke about O'Brien having a boring life in the transporter room. That guy's got it so much worse. His transporter room's so much more boring, and he doesn't even have a panel to fix. At least O'Brien was sometimes, like, fiddling with a wall panel, you know? But anyway, no, that was Wolf in the Fold. I mean, it obviously has sexist problems that if you were to, like, actually take them at face value, look at the society, are major sexist problems. But as an episode, I think it's very good. It does like 3 separate things quite well. I'm not sure if any of them individually are like super worth writing home again about. The murder mystery was good, but I don't know if I'd really say it's necessarily a good mystery. I just felt like it was well constructed. I don't think the pacing was ever off. It was just like I'd cut 20 seconds of belly dancing. But that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed the 20 seconds of belly dancing, but like that's 20 seconds of pacing problems. And again, it's just so out there and wild that I gotta respect it. I can really let a lot slide. If it came out like today, of course, I'd complain a lot more about the sexist undertones. But in some cases, because it's like Jack the Ripper, it kind of works. It's really just the fact that everyone's so okay with Scotty pathologically hating women, and also the fact that he does, because one woman made a mistake. It's just baffling. Like, the only reason I make fun of it is just because of how casually all this stuff is introduced. It's just wild to me. But no, I really enjoy that one. It wasn't as scary when I got into the horror bits as I remember. Maybe I've just watched more horror. It definitely would give the kids spooks. It'd probably give a lot of kids nightmare. I don't think TOS was really for kids. I'm sure a lot of kids watched it, but I think it actually was a more adult sci-fi. I mean, heck, just a few weeks ago, we had like the mating habits of Vulcan was the theme of an episode. In fact, I think generally Star Trek's always been a little more adult. It's just a lot of the 80s stuff and the older stuff over time falls more into age appropriate, but especially early TNG, you'd have like direct references to sex. I think it's always been a little more adult, though of course a kid could watch basically any Star Trek series. But yeah, I will say that's it. It's a very good one. It's a good one. I'll say that. Despite its flaws, it's a good episode. Next week, we have The Changeling. That'll be the Nomad episode, so Uhura comes back. Followed by The Apple in Mirror Mirror, now 3 weeks away. So yeah, we got some good stuff coming up. I think The Apple's a bit of a fall off, but just looking at the episodes in front of me now, we've probably got like a 50-50 pretty good episode, less good episodes. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one. I will say thank you all very much